Within the bowels of Driftwood's ship, neither did the gentleman of fortune. The door burst open, its hinges splintering against the force of Flint's boot. Alistair strode forward, cutlass gleaming in the flickering lantern light. Brazen Flint at his side, pistol raised. They barely took 2 steps before freezing. Across the room, seated behind his desk with 2 cannons aimed dead at them, Captain Driftwood grinned. The flickering flame of the lanterns danced across the dozens of bundles of dynamite strapped across his chest, the dull weight of destruction resting effortlessly against his frame.
"Ah, Captain Morningstar," Driftwood beguiled, voice drenched in amusement. "And his faithful lapdog, Bootlicker Flint. You must be the worst debt collectors in history. Always kicking in doors, never minding the finer points of negotiation."
Alistair, unconcerned by the cannons, kept his stance measured. He met Driftwood's eyes, studying the madness swimming beneath their surface.
"Negotiation was your option. You rejected it."
Driftwood chuckled.
"And now ye have no options, Captain. You want the debt, the cargo, you want to take what's owed."
He leaned forward.
"Then take it, if you're so keen on sinking with it."
Alistair made no move. He kept his stance loose, unreadable. He knew this situation demanded patience. Driftwood was a man who thrived on desperation, who enjoyed watching his opponents stew in the impossible. Alistair had no intention of giving him that satisfaction. Instead, he smirked. "You know," Alistair mused, tilting his cutlass casually to the side, "this kind of resistance is what makes my job so much fun." Driftwood raised a brow.
"Fun?"
"Oh, absolutely." Brazen moved, a quick movement, a lunge from the side, aiming for Driftwood's throat. Driftwood anticipated it. The next moment was a blur. Brazen crashed to the ground, pistol torn from his grip, and Driftwood's own firearm pressed against his temple.
"Predictable."
Alistair stiffened, cutlass twitching at his side. Driftwood cocked the pistol, grinning wider.
"I'd say you've lost your leverage, Captain."
And then chaos ensued. The entire left wall of the cabin exploded inward. The front of Slipknot's vessel tore through the wood like a beast unchained. The deck shook violently as timbers snapped, furniture collapsed, and crates spilled into the wreckage. The impact threw Driftwood off balance just enough for Brazen to scramble away, hands gripping the floor and breath ragged. Alistair had found himself caught beneath the beam. He exhaled sharply as he attempted to shift the weight from his chest. It was no use. He grit his teeth as he watched Driftwood recovering from the shock. He laughed as he adjusted his grip, staring down at Brazen.
"A member of the Gentlemen of Fortune. Helpless. How poetic."
He pressed a blade to Flint's throat, savoring the moment.
"Your kind is an insult to piracy. Honor among thieves. You'll sink the whole trade before long, Morningstar. And I will watch it die, with you in tow."
Alistair struggled against the beam. His arms could not move. Brazen choked against the pressure of the blade. Suddenly, a force slammed into Driftwood's chest, like a phantom's fist. It threw him backward, his grip on Flint lost, his footing compromised. Brazen scrambled away in an instant, rolling over debris, eyes wide. For the first time, Driftwood faltered. His smirk vanished, his breath caught in his throat.
"What the?"
Another hit. Something slammed into his side. Then another. A fist against his jaw, his head snapped to the left. He swung blindly but found nothing.
"Show yourself!"
he snarled, shifting his stance, gripping his blade tighter. And yet there was no opponent in sight. and then a single, well-placed punch to his gut. He reacted without thinking. His fist flew in return, striking solid, and Kezia Capstan crashed backwards, spell broken, thrown into view. For the first time, Driftwood saw his attacker.
What the?
Driftwood exhaled sharply, stunned. His grip tightened on his weapon. He glared at the woman before him, trying to place her.
Who in the tides?
Kezia didn't give him time to finish. The gunshot rang out before his words could fully leave his lips. Driftwood dropped, a lifeless mass on the wreckage. The room settled as the weight of Driftwood's death cast a momentary hush. Brazen didn't waste time. He ripped the dynamite from Driftwood's corpse, tossing it aside with sharp efficiency. Alistair, still caught beneath the wooden beam, grunted uncomfortably.
A little help.
Brazen moved, gripping the debris and pulling him free. Alistair stood, brushing dust from his coat. His gaze then fixed on Kezia. She, unconcerned, seated herself at Driftwood's desk, rifling through his belongings, as if the fight had never happened. Alistair tilted his head slightly, watching her.
You don't look familiar.
Kezia paused, only briefly, not looking up. She returned to sorting through the desk. Brazen raised a brow, glancing between them. Alistair gave her a measured stare, stepping forward. The wood groaned beneath Alistair's boots as the ship tilted with slow inevitability as water began flooding the lower decks. Above them, voices roared with desperation. The battle had dissolved into panic. No one fought for victory anymore. They only fought for survival. Alistair took in the wreckage of Driftwood's quarters. The collapsed walls, the broken furniture, the stolen cargo scattered among the ruins. There was no time for questions now. We need a way out, he stated, voice firm, cutting through the madness. Kezia moved forward before anyone else could. She snatched the explosives off the floor. The hat, Driftwood's, was ripped from his corpse and stuffed with the coins and jewels scavenged from the ruined desk. Then, with one swift kick, she toppled the desk, sending its broken frame sprawling across the floor in front of them, forming an improvised barricade. She commanded, striking a match against the wall. The flame flared to life in her grip, and she hurled the burning dynamite into the wreckage. From the crow's nest of the deck collector, mizzenmast watched the unfolding chaos. An explosion ripped through the ship, wood split apart and fire burst outward. A deafening roar echoed across the water. The crew of the deck collector flinched, eyes wide as the flames engulfed Driftwood's vessel, sending planks of debris into the air.
Captain!
One of the crew members stammered, searching the destruction, voice edged with panic. Movement could be spotted in the shadows of the water. A rowboat, cutting clean through the waves, away from the sinking wreckage. At its helm, Alistair Morningstar, Brazen Flint, and a smaller figure sitting low against the boat's edge.
They're alive,
mizzenmast murmured. The fight, if it could even be called one anymore, was over. The crew of Driftwood's ship dropped their weapons, sinking to their knees on the battered deck. There was no victory for them now. Mainsail leaned over the railing, gripping the rowboat's side as he hauled Alistair, Brazen, and Kezia aboard. Kezia stepped onto the deck, weighed down by the sheer amount of treasure strapped to her person, coins jingling against the fabric of her coat, the weight of the stolen wealth pressing into her frame.
You packed light,
Mainsail remarked, watching as she shifted her footing. Kezia didn't respond, she only steadied herself. Gunwale Hackett approached, expression knotted with confusion. Alistair didn't hesitate.
Driftwood's dead,
he stated. Gunwale's brows raised, his eyes flicking between the three of them.
And what of the debt?
Alistair gestured towards Kezia. Reclaimed. Every crew member's gaze turned towards her. She adjusted her grip, shifting under the weight of the treasure, trying not to draw further attention to herself, though it was a futile effort. Her presence was loud, even in silence. The deck was slick with blood and seawater, and the wreckage of Driftwood's ship groaned as it began its inevitable descent. The men of his crew stood among the ruins of their captain's failure, blades hanging limp in their hands, backs pressed against the railings. They did not move. They were pirates, but not fools. Across from them, Alistair Morningstar did not look victorious. He looked calculated, measured, as if he knew the battle was his before the first blade was swung. He did not revel in the defeat laid before him. He only enforced what must come next. His voice carried not like a demand, but like an undeniable truth. "You have 3 options." The words dropped into the silence like weight anchors. "You can fight." His gaze swept over them. "But you will lose." Some strained their shoulders, defiant, but no one stepped forward. "You can try to flee." His voice remained even. "But the Black Regent will absorb you before you find open waters." A muscle in the jaw of one crewman tensed, a subtle twitch of recognition. A shared fear none dared speak aloud. And then the final choice. "Or you can join us." That broke the stillness. Driftwood's men bristled. Hatred flickered in their expressions, resentment tightening their fists around their hilts. They despised him, and they despised what he stood for.
"Morningstar thinks he's different,"
one of them muttered through clenched teeth.
"Thinks he can tame what was never meant to be tamed."
The murmurs rippled, voices of discontent, of thieves who still held scraps of their freedom close to their chests. Until one of them moved. It was abrupt, a sprint towards the edge, towards the blackened waters below, and towards the unknown, beyond Morningstar's words. A gunshot cracked through the air before anyone registered what had happened, and the man collapsed. Above, Mizzenmast lowered his rifle. The remaining crew members were left in silence.